showing our inside and light so bright. We are awakened. Come and join our love, it's so right.
Thank you for listening to the Awakened Radio Network. Visit our website at awakenedradio.net. Our broadcasts are brought to you in part by thebarefootguru.com, where you can discover the power of survival in your life. Author, teacher, coach, and radio host Donna Devane invites you to co-create your dreams. Awakened Radio Network is sponsored in part by evolutionaryspiritualitycoaching.com, where self-discovery is co-created with loving guidance. Author, coach, teacher, and radio host Donna Devane invites you to move into a new experience of self. Visit evolutionaryspiritualitycoaching.com today. At Awakened Radio Network, we bring you the how-to you've been asking about. Our hosts are top-notch teachers, authors, and coaches who love sharing their messages with you, our listeners. If you have a message you'd like to share on Awakened Radio, visit our website at awakenedradio.net. Look for Services tab, then click on Be a Host. Add Awakened Radio to Skype and type Donna a message. Thank you for listening to the Awakened Radio Network. Visit our website at awakenedradio.net, where you can communicate with our hosts through our forums, our live chat room, and our call-in information so that you can join us on the air is always on our live chat page. Find out about our hosts, about how to host your own show, how to be a partner for success with us, to sponsor a show, or to advertise with us. Thank you so much for taking part in the Awakened Radio Network at awakenedradio.net.
Welcome to Your Unfolding Senses. I'm your host, Ragozzine, and this show is about everything intuition. And it's brought to you by Intuition by Rob.net. Hello, I'm Rob Ragozzine. Welcome to Your Unfolding Senses. Thanks go out to Donna and Susan and Colin today for 2 excellent shows. And stay tuned for Christina after my show. This show is all about, as you know, allowing yourself to explore your full intuitive sensory capabilities. And like normal, we'll have an intuitive challenge tonight. Always pay attention to your intuition because it helps you to feel connected to yourself, your purpose, and your life in a more deeper and more meaningful way. Please join us tonight in the chat room. Come to awakenedradio.net, click on the live chat tab, or join us on the air by adding Awakened Radio to your Skype or dialing 334-649-7204 if you have any questions or you'd like to talk about anything intuition related, tarot, dreams, or whatnot. And the tarot will be our subject for this evening. But meanwhile, if you're so inclined, any and all donations are greatly appreciated. We're all here helping you for no cost to you. So if you've enjoyed the past shows tonight or my show, please find it in your heart to click on the donate button at the top of all the screens at awakenedradio.net. And since we're all here for intuition this evening, we'll do a short meditation to settle into our bodies and be more comfortable with connecting with them and feeling into what our intuition might be bringing to you. So if you have a question that you've been pondering and you'd like an answer to it, you might hold it lightly in your mind while we do this meditation. So make sure you're lying or sitting comfortably and closing your eyes and slowly taking deep and gentle breaths. releasing any stress, gently connecting with a sense of inner knowing, inner calm, inner tranquility, knowing that within yourself you have all the answers, and you may even wish to bring your hands to your heart and feel the energy there and know that you can ask it anything you'd like. And allow the tranquility and peace and calm that you feel to fill your body, and believe, feel, and know that your answers are within. Spend some time here connecting to your body and to your senses. Notice any areas that feel tense, sending love and compassion to those parts, and continuing to breathe gently and feeling in to your body to listen to any signals, messages it might have for you. Notice any sounds or smells or sights that you see, and see what it might, if those are related to a question that you might have, or they're just guiding you in some other way. You might have asked for a message, but allow whatever comes into your perception to come, perhaps a symbol, a word, a phrase, or something else might come to mind. But again, it's okay if nothing comes. And allow yourself a few more moments in this space. And when you're ready, you can begin to breathe normally, slowly bringing your awareness back to the room and gently reconnect to your body and slowly opening your eyes. And I'm posting the link to the secret object tonight in the chat room. So if you give up, you can go and see the object that I've chosen. But again, use all of your senses. Use your smell sense, your spidey sense of smell, your intuitive sense of hearing, touch, taste. Put yourself in a space where this object is and feel like you're there, and ask, what's surrounding me? What's here? How does this object feel like? Where am I if I'm with this object? And see what scenes or memories or smells come to you as you intuitively connect to this object. And it's not about guessing, remember. It's about using your intuition to connect with the object and not dismissing anything, writing it down, recording it in some way, and just noticing what you do notice. And using it the next time to remember, oh, the secret object was such and such, and I saw green, or I saw a big field of grass, and it happened to be flowers, for instance. Well, it's not flowers tonight, I'm just giving an example. But just notice how you perceive the object and pay attention to that, and see which senses in yourself are the strongest. For many, they consider the sight, seeing something, to be the most important the most important sense, or that they'll have that sense. But it's not necessarily true. You might have a very keen intuitive sense of smell or touch or hearing or any number of senses. You might just physically have a sensation in your body that reminds you of being somewhere where this object normally is. So pay attention to however you receive that information. And you can post a guess in the chat room, an intuitive recollection or hit in the chat room, or you can call us and talk about it, and I'll walk you through what it is. Again, 334-649-7204. And I've also uploaded a short intro to Tong Len that I've talked about in the past to SoundCloud, so you can go and listen to that. A link is posted on my Facebook page, so you're more than welcome to go and listen to that, and it walks you through the basic meditation practice, and I've talked about it in past shows as well. feel free to go and listen to that and post comments on my Facebook page. This week we'll be continuing our discussion of compassion, but we're focusing on the tarot and possibly dreams as well. And an opening quote from Teresa Francis Young from the book Teen Tarot. She says, if you don't feel you have any choice in a situation, self-esteem and confidence plummet. But once you understand that you do have a choice, self-esteem will improve. You aren't a helpless victim anymore. You decide how you deal with a situation. You aren't just reacting to life, you're creating your life. And that's really the focus of my tarot talk. When people think of tarot, they're thinking, oh, I'm going to go get a reading about my future. And I'd like to say, well, that's a part of it, but you can also use the cards to read about yourself in your inner life and to explore and do self-reflection. It's not just about reading about the future. It can be a great tool to aid in your intuitive development. And it's not a replacement for your intuition. I always say self-reliance is key, and learning to trust your intuition is very important. But as an external tool, this can be very good in helping you to connect with whatever is most important to you now, especially relationship-wise. And I think in the chat room, I see someone that might be trying to call me, but I don't see any calls. So please feel free to call in, and we'll talk. So the cards can show us themes and situations that are active in our life, sort of like reading a myth or a fairy tale or a story. You can use the cards to connect with that story. And again, it's best to use it as an adjunct to your intuition, not as a replacement. And as an example, I was busy trying to get my audio file up on YouTube and SoundCloud this week, and I was spending a lot of time doing it and having some trouble, and I pulled a card around that issue, and the deck that I use has a picture of a man chopping down poles that are on fire. It's the Eight of Wands, and it's sort of like he's chopping down these poles, but he also went through all the work of putting them in and lighting them so that they can light a path for someone or something. At least that's the story that I told myself. And it really, as I started to converse with the card, he was talking about how I was running around in circles, and maybe it would be good to ask for help. So that's a really short and concise example of how you might work with the cards, to see the image and then to maybe talk with the character and ask what he's doing, why he's doing it, or whomever, if it's a male or female character, why they're on the card, why they're in this particular scene, how do they feel about what they're doing, and really get into exploring the card in this way without necessarily referring to a book, and let the books go for now. Really just try to explore the cards in your own way, and maybe telling a story might help you to connect with that. And for me, once I started to ask for help, I started to get tips and techniques that were really simple, and I was doing it the hard way. So it really helped me to take a step, take a moment to take a breath and find a simpler solution than the one I was trying to explore. So some basic guidelines that you might work with here. Number one, like I said, let go of the books. And although some television shows and movies are good, don't really pay attention to those because they're really sensationalist, I think, when it comes to the tarot cards. And it's always about something bad that's going to happen to someone. And it's very disempowering to the person that's having the cards read. Almost always, there's probably the death card, which isn't usually about death at all. and the person is scared out of their wits, and then they leave screaming or they leave all upset, and it really frightens everyone and thinks that the cards always have bad meanings, and that's not true at all. Like I've said in the past, keep a journal for the tarot symbols, so the cards will have similar symbols, and you'll want to notice which ones come up for you. And in the past, for me, when I started to learn the cards, a lot of the symbols were around the swords, which is a lot about mental thought, mental clarity, letting go, seeing things for what they are, and maybe a little bit of patience, and really finding a spot in the calm away from all the static and noise of everyday life. And as I was really young, when I learned them, that was very helpful because it steered me into learning not only about the cards, but about meditation and things of that nature to find that inner peace and inner calm. So it's about paying attention to the symbols and asking, well, what are they trying to tell me? And just because for me that's what swords meant, that might not necessarily what they connect to and mean for you. So just keep your journal and recognize when you see a stream of particular symbols. And over time, as you read your cards, you may notice that the same cards keep coming up over time. And you'll want to dialogue with your cards. And as I was just talking about the Eight of Wands, it really helped me to, in my example, helped me to see how I was spinning my wheels, and I had to ask for help. And which leads me to the next tip is don't be afraid to go outside the box and think differently and explore each card through fresh perspectives. The books might lead you in one direction, but what if you did what I just talked about? You might explore a whole new meaning for that particular card. And you might ask questions like, how would it be if I was like this character, dressed as this character in this card? How would I feel? And how would I feel if I was doing the work that this character was doing? For instance, just some simple questions that are kind of outside the box that you might not have previously thought about, but once you start thinking like that, new meanings and new symbolism can pop up, and you can start to see what the card really is talking about for you in this particular moment. And that's one of the key things is to remember is that in the moment, just because one card meant something yesterday, today's meaning can be completely different, even if it's the same card. Not likely, but it could be. They can change over time. They can change from time period to time period, from not necessarily from day to day, but from month to month, and as you mature and expand and learn and grow. And a lot of people just go get the standard Rider-Waite deck, but I have several different decks that I play with from time to time. And right now, I have 2 different decks that I've been working with. And one is, of course, the Rider-Waite deck, but I also use a deck called the Alchemical deck. You really have to find a deck that speaks to you. And for me, these decks speak to me, and I just like the symbolism in the Alchemical deck. And in the chat room, Donna says she likes the Daughters of the Moon. I think that's a circular deck. I'm not sure. But you can go online and look at the pictures and see which ones speak best to you. And there's tons of sites that just have pictures of all the cards in the different decks. And I think I have a caller. Hello?
Rob.
Hi.
Hi, my name's Jamie. I have got a question. Actually, I've got a favor to ask you. Would you be willing to analyze a dream?
Absolutely.
All right. I had a dream the night Monday night, and it is as quick as I had it. I wanted to talk to you and ask you about it. It was a very powerful dream. In my dream, it's like I awaken on an island. Actually, it's not an island. It's a point that comes in. There's an arrow on the point, and it flares out. And it's got a finger off each side. But in this dream, I'm standing there, and I'm surrounded by what I don't know how I know, but I know are Mayans. They're a lot smaller than I am, and they're chanting, and I can't understand what they're chanting. As the dream progresses on, I get moved out onto this peninsula that comes out, and I'm snatched up by them. And as I'm snatched up by them, I'm thrust upward toward the heaven. And it seems like I travel almost to the realm of space. And when I get to the realm of space, there's a black sky with 1 billion stars above me. And I'm staring at it, and I'm rolled over. And when I roll over and look back down, the exact same reflection of the heavens above me is being reflected below me on the peninsula and on the water surrounding the peninsula. It's like a mirror image of heaven in either direction that I look. And then I wake up.
That's an awesome dream. A lot of very good symbolism in that dream. And if you had to give the dream a name, what would you call it?
What would I call the dream? Lifted?
Lifted? That's a great title. It really allows you to connect with the juice of the dream. And you said the words right in the dream. You said, just Christina, as above, so below, right in the dream. So it's really giving you some guidance right there. It's really connecting you to look at heaven on earth. It's to look at all the good that's in your life. And all the parts of the dream are you. So to look at the parts of you that are trying to maybe tear you down, the little parts, and to find a way to mellow their voice. And they're smaller now than they might have been in the past. So look at that. Does that seem like that's true?
Yeah. I mean, my life has been a lot better for me in the past few years than it has been the years before. There's no doubt about that.
So to really look at this dream as an uplifting event, and to look at the gold from the dream is to look at how better it is now, and the fact that you really have an overview of your whole life, and to see that it really is good. I think that's really the central message of the dream. It really is good.
All right. Well, it was such a powerful dream. And I couldn't interpret nothing out of it. And
the key message for me is that it's saying, look at all this good, because here you are up in heaven, and you've already seen everything below is the same. It's again, as Christina is saying here, as above, so below. So to really pay attention to that message, and to really remember that in your daily life, maybe find a way to externalize that out in your life. So to take maybe a simple step would be to go find a picture of the stars and hang it up by your bed, so that you're reminded of this message and motivated to bring it deeper into your life.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
I'll talk to you later.
Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Bye. So that's really the key part of dream work, is to pay attention to the message that the dream is trying to bring you, and find out how it can help you to make shifts and changes within your life, some which is maybe even unconscious shifts, like, for instance, in this dream, simply taking a picture of the stars and hanging it up somewhere that you'll see it to be reminded of the power of the dream, and your psyche will work with that at an unconscious level, and you'll have tremendous shifts in your life that you might not even realize till after you look back and say, wow, that really helped me to take a new direction and a new step in my life. And you can work with the cards in the same way. You can look at each card as a particular dream. So I would really recommend doing that and working with that, with the dreams in that way. Maybe even reverse that and say, what tarot card does this dream remind me of? And since we're talking about the tarot in TVs and movies today, I'd like to also remind you that you might look to books and poetry and stories as well. And I have an excerpt from T.S. Eliot in The Wasteland, where he's talking a little bit about the tarot that it's kind of hard to understand until you get into the tarot, but it's really neat. He says, here is Belladonna, the lady of the rocks, the lady of situations. Here's the man with 3 staves, and here the wheel, and here's the one-eyed merchant, and this card, which is blank, is something he carries on his back, which am forbidden to see. I do not find a hangman, fear death by water. So it's a little taste of what The Wasteland is if you've never read it. It's a pretty impressive poem by T.S. Eliot, but here he's talking a little bit about the tarot, and it's a great poem to explore, to learn more about the tarot and your life. And another poem that I found by doing some research from Mary K. Greer was crafted in 1527 by Teofilio Foligno. I can't even pronounce his name, but it says, love under whose empire many deeds go without time and without fortune, saw death ugly and dark on a chariot going among the people it took away from the world. She asked, no pope, no papess was ever won by you. Do you recall this justice? He answered, he who made the sun and the moon defended them from my strength. What a fool I am, said love, my fire, that can appear as an angel or a devil, can be tempered by some others who live under my star. You are the empress, ruler of bodies, but you cannot kill hearts. You only suspend them. You have a name of high fame, but you are nothing but a trickster. So, some powerful poetry, pretty old, but still pretty much covers every card in the deck, and another poem that you might like to explore. But maybe first start with the Wasteland. Now, if you'd like to explore another dream or talk about the tarot, you can call in after the break when we get back at 334-649-7204, or adding Awakened Radio to your Skype, or coming into awakenradio.net and clicking on the live chat tab and posting your question in there. And you can also post your intuitive hits about the secret object. I haven't seen any in there, so I'm sure people have been clicking on my link and going right there. So come on into the chat room, and I'll welcome any questions about tarot or dreams to intuition. So when we come back, I'll be continuing my discussion about the tarot. And now time for break.
Hello, this is Donna Devane, the Barefoot Guru, owner and operator right here at the Awakened Radio Network. And I want to tell you about something absolutely exciting that we are now offering in our Awakened store. Water Kefir, live probiotics. It does a body good. Part of Being healthy is having your body balanced from the inside out. And I know no better, no easier, no better tasting way than fruit-flavored water kefir. The instructions are in the store, as well as the water crystals. It's such an easy process. You and your children will love it. David Lloyd, one of our hosts, said it's like a science experiment in your kitchen. You add your water crystals, natural sugar and water. You have a 2-day water fermentation process. Then you add your flavor, your fruit or your fruit juice, and let it sit for another 1 to 2 days. Refrigerate and drink. It couldn't be easier, and it couldn't be any tastier. My personal favorite is pomegranate and blueberry and mango. I like those two. But you can flavor it however you and your family enjoy the taste. Come on, get happy, get healthy, get empowered from the inside out. A happy, healthy body goes a long way to a happy, healthy life. Check out awakenedradio.net today. Look at the top where it says Awakened Store. Once on that page, click the probiotics category. You will see kefir right there, ready to ship out. And I generally ship out within a day or two of your purchase. So within a week, you and your family can be well on your way to having happy, healthy body, happy, healthy lives. Peace.
Welcome to Your Unfolding Senses. I'm your host, Ragozzine, and this show is about everything intuition. And it's brought to you by Intuition by Rob.net. Hello. We're back, and we're talking about tarot. I'm Rob Ragozzine. This is Your Unfolding Senses. Everything about intuition. We just talked about a dream, and we're talking about tarot cards and how they can help you to connect more deeply to your intuition. Now realize that your first unique response to the card is something that you should pay attention to. Feel into how it makes you feel, but also realize that your personality and your culture and your upbringing are going to shade the card. It's all relevant. Sometimes we may have issues to clear before we can move on. Just pay attention to what triggers the card pulls when you feel it. And when we read for others, we may need to let some of this go. That's why our intuition is so important. When you're reading for someone else, you don't want to let your own issues cloud the meaning of the card. And that's why it's important to recognize your issues and how you feel about the cards before you go off and read for others. You should really develop a practice for yourself, and then it'll be okay. Once you learn what the cards mean for you, you can then understand how that meaning is colored by a lot of your own particular issues and a lot of your upbringing and how some of the cultural upbringing is in there. So if you're reading for someone that's not from where you were brought up, they might have different issues and those meanings might not be relevant. And one of the biggest questions when we're talking about tarot readings or any kind of intuitive reading really goes back to what I've talked about before is, am I compatible with this person? And if you're not in a relationship with that person yet, as I've said before, then how can you be compatible? And then secondly, if you're not in relationship with yourself, then how can you be compatible? If you don't know yourself, then there isn't any compatibility. It's really about paying attention to yourself and allowing your inner voice to be heard. And when you're in a relationship, you'll both be able to, hopefully, both will have a connection to their inner voice, and you'll both be able to develop a compatibility together, no matter where you started, as long as you're both willing to be honest and develop the relationship as it goes and explore it in a way that makes sense to the both of you. Then there'll be compatibility. And maybe exploring tarot together can help you to foster a deeper connection. And that's why I really think it can be an excellent tool, especially in relationships, because it gives you a starting point to talk about how the relationship might improve or what issues you might have to work on. Now, if you're confused about what a card might mean, don't give up. Just take a moment to relax, and as I was talking about before, try to imagine or reimagine it for the world today and step past your uncertainty and doubt about what it means and just connect with what you feel that it means for your life right now. And don't be afraid to have a little fun with it and maybe be a little bit dynamic and daring. Again, some of the questions that you might ask would be, how do I feel about this person? How would I feel if I met them? What if you had to dress like this person, especially in the Rider-Waite deck? They dress kind of weird. Well, not weird, but weird for today. And then, you might ask, what would they eat? What's the community like, for instance? Is this a job for them? Like in my card, there's a person chopping wood. How do they feel at the end of the day? What happens at the end of the day? Do they get together with some other characters from other cards and have a beer? Just having fun with this. Maybe it'll help break things apart and shake things up and give you a place to go and explore. And then maybe wondering if you can get a vacation condo where this person is, to really feel into how would it be to live there, for instance. And you can, come up with your own questions. These are just some funny questions that might really help to stir the pot for you and help you to uncover some deeper meanings in the cards. Now, of course, I talked about the swords before, and if you don't know, there's 78 cards, and there's 4 suits, and there's also minor and major arcana. The arcana are 22 cards that don't have a suit, and then the minor cards do have a suit, such as the swords, and there's wands and cups and pentacles, but not always. Sometimes they're called rods for the wand, or wands. It depends upon the deck that you're using, what the different elements are called, but still they represent, for instance, the wands or the staves or whatever they're called, clubs, for instance, often represent passion or power or sensuality. It depends on what the question that you're asking is related to and where you are and what's the theme in your life. Again, going back to your life and reviewing it. You might ask, if you got a sword card, for instance, where am I being self-critical? Where am I letting my thoughts get out of control? Where am I not thinking enough? Where am I not being discerning enough, for instance? Now, if you have cups, for instance, showing up, you might ask, do I have enough quiet time? Do I have enough self-reflection time? Pentacles, how am I valuing myself? And wands, maybe what needs to be celebrated or honored. And those might help you to really go more deeper into the meaning of the card and help you to answer some of your questions. Now you might ask, where in my life can I focus to help you really get a better feel for the card? Or what am I yearning for? what parts of myself need compassion? How can I allow compassion into my life? How can I be more compassionate in my relationships? Always look to your relationships because it's really about how you're relating to the world, not only to yourself, but to other people and the world around you. So man, woman, adult, or child, you can benefit by bringing greater compassion into your life. That means looking to the cards for where that can be allowed into your life, where you might be missing it, but use the card that you get to guide and direct you in your practice. If you draw a cup card, for instance, you might look to develop a more inward-focused practice with time for meditation and reflection and guidance. And I think I mentioned this in January. A good idea might be to pull a quote for the year that you like and work with it. Especially this year, you might pull one and use it around compassion, and you can use that with a card that you pulled for the year. So pull one card, ask, what do I need? What can I best benefit from this year? And work with that card for a whole year. And I've done this. And my card for this year, if you're familiar with the tarot, is the Empress. And for me, it's really about, again, connecting to compassion, but also to being more allowing, to being more, I guess, gentle, not only on myself, but others, and to be more welcoming of them into my life, and to be really open to receiving and sharing wisdom with others, because that's kind of what the card is all about. It's about abundance and joy and celebration. So being in the spirit of that card and welcoming in invitations to take part in events like that and exploring it in that way. Now, again, you might wonder, well, how can I go deeper? You can use those questions, and some other ways to go deeper into your card might be to notice what feeling that you sense in yourself when you first see the card. So what feelings are triggered? Maybe it's a sense of calm. Maybe it's a sense of struggle and stress. Whatever it is, just notice that. And before that feeling, if you can't connect with the feeling, notice if you're attracted to the card, repelled from it, or neutral about the card. How does it feel to you? What aspect of your life comes to mind when you see the card? Maybe ask, does the card remind me of someone? What details seem most important? What theme seems to be reflected? What energetic pattern? Again, notice your emotions and maybe see what those emotions are connected to, and just begin to pay attention to those. They might be prevalent in some other area of your life, and just work with them. Maybe pick a card for the week. Maybe pick a card each day. As you're learning the tarot, I don't recommend going off and doing all the spreads necessarily. You can do 1 card spreads or 3 card spreads, and I think those are much more beneficial than doing some of the complex 10 card or more spreads that can muddy up the waters, and there's so much to learn there that you can just get flummoxed and give up. I recommend working with a limited number of cards in the beginning, maybe 1, maybe 3, and just asking past, present, future question, or what do I need to know about myself now? And I think those are really the best ways of using the tarot anyway. And it's really not about looking to the future, because I think then you're defining yourself by your future rather than being open to what comes. And that's kind of connected to the fear of what the future might hold. Rather, look to sit in the potential of the possibilities that the future can bring to you, the wonderment, the joy, and a lot of cards, like the Empress, for instance, really connect with that. Ask yourself, what do I want? How can I get there? And maybe that's a good question to ask the tarot. How can I allow myself to be in a situation that I can best benefit from? And what do I need to nurture in myself to get to that situation? And then read the cards from that vantage point. And to really open up to that. And again, remembering not to worry about what you see in the TV shows or movies or the books, because they're not necessarily accurate. They're not really helping you to get a accurate representation of what the tarot cards are all about. And in the chat room, Colin mentions he does a 5-card spread, and then Druid James mentions he does the Celtic cross spread. Both are very good. I just recommend, if you're new to it, find a way that you can begin to work with it and it resonates with you and it doesn't confuse you. Katie mentions a 30-card spread, and that's almost half the deck. Very overwhelming, as she says. Don't muddy the waters. Really just try to find a way that you can explore and have fun with it at first, and really connect with the energy of the cards. Don't go and be overpowered. The purpose here is to empower yourself. So you don't have to go out to the psychic fair and get a card reading once a month or whatever, however many times a year you do it. Do it once, and then go and fill in the information for yourself, and then go to the reading, get a confirmation about the themes that you've been noticing, and see if the same cards show up. See how they refer to the cards and what they talk about. See if you leave that reading empowered, and if not, then go find somebody else that will empower you. You're not trying to label yourself. Don't use the cards or any divination tool to be labeling yourself. It's really a tool to help you to make shifts and changes and find a greater sense of peace in your life. It's not about limiting, and it's about recognizing what your truth is and trying to feel more alive, more vibrant, more empowered. And any reading that disempowers you isn't going to be helpful unless it's talking about issues that you're not willing to address. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how can you use the cards to address your particular issues that need to be taken care of. And if you do that on your own, then you'll be all the better for it. Then you won't necessarily need to go out and get a full reading. You might not have to go back to the fair ever again. You might just find a friend and do readings for each other, or do readings for yourself once a month. Don't say things like, I feel so stuck, or I want to take some action, but I'm afraid, or I'm trying to figure it all out, but I just don't know what to do next. It's really about asking for guidance, and it's a reflection of what's going on inside of you, and finding a way to pay attention to that. And since it's right in front of you, it might be easier than paying attention to your intuitive symbols at first, because now you can't dismiss it. You can't say, oh, I thought I saw something. I thought I saw an egg, or I thought I saw a person walking across the street, or whatever it was. Now you have a symbol of someone doing something on a card. In my case, it was the 8 of Wands and someone chopping them down. In your case, it might be something different. And find a way to maybe spend 10 minutes a week doing a reading, and that might be with a 5-card spread or a 3-card spread. But don't feel like you have to go and do a 30-card spread or more, because that's not empowering. That's making you get caught up in the confusion. And it's really about finding a simple way to connect to your intuition, and the cards are often a reflection of that. And you might share some time with your friends doing readings, but don't feel like they're getting better readings than you, or you're getting worse readings than them, or whatever. Just know that each card has a message, and don't be judgmental of the message. Again, like a dream, it's trying to bring you something that needs your attention, and find a way to give it your attention and bring the power of the card, like the power of the dream, back out into your life. And it might be something simple like asking for help, or it might be something a little more complex like making time for meditation in your life and asking yourself, well, if I keep getting this card and I think it relates to meditation and I'm not meditating, why is that? Just be present, be there. It's just like really being in a relationship with a person. You have to be present, you have to be able and willing to listen, and you have to have trust. And that's really what it's about, paying attention to what the message is for your card. And someone in the chat room mentions that it's fun to do with someone else. It's mysterious. I guess it can be mysterious, but the question is, are they empowering you or not? And if they're not, then they might not be helping you at all, and they're just taking your money. So I really recommend finding someone that's empowering. I'm not saying that person, you have to even know that person. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be anyone that you know. You can just walk into a room and pick someone. That might be a great way to use your intuition. But I'm really recommending that you develop a relationship with the cards themselves. That way you come that much closer to your intuition and you learn more about symbols. One of the decks that I learned with was all about Greek myth, and it really taught me two things. It taught me about tarot, but it taught me about story, and it taught me about Greek myth, of course. And I really learned a lot about the tarot, and I learned about the symbolism and the hero's journey, and it was a great introduction to a lot of intuitive processing in a way that was fun and easy to do because I had an interest in that. Now, you might not have the same interest, but it's still a way to connect with your intuition. And again, remember compassion. So no matter what, have compassion for yourself, especially as you're doing your reading. It's not about being wrong. It's really just about finding a way to allow your life to take on deeper meaning and be willing for your life to have meaning in the first place. So it's taking on hope and taking on the fact that your life does have meaning, and by you doing that, other people will do the same thing, and we can really create a new way of life for the world by allowing ourselves to take and consider that our lives have meaning. If that makes sense, and I think it does. And in the chat room, Donna mentions, are they empowering you? Yes, that's absolutely key. If you're paying someone and you feel drained and disempowered when you leave, you just wasted the $30 or $50 or however much it cost to go get that reading. And why would you do that? You could easily buy a deck of cards for half that price and read for yourself for the rest of your life. So go and do that, and don't be afraid. Take the first step and go get yourself. I think that's my challenge for this week, is to actually open that deck that you purchased a long time ago and never opened and sitting in a dresser drawer somewhere, or go buy a deck and start to read the cards for yourselves. And if you have a question, I'll be more than happy to answer it. You can come to the forum here at awakenradio.net. and ask me a question there, or I have links to my various pages, and you can find me there and post questions on Twitter or Facebook, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. And people ask me questions all the time, and I'm more than happy to answer them. And it's great when I'm able to help someone to really feel empowered and feel good about the steps that they're taking to work with their intuition. And this week, I had a challenge that I'm remembering that someone lost I think it was a car radiator cap. I didn't find it, but I described the whole room pretty much in detail. I thought that was kind of fun, and it gave someone a clue as to what intuition can really do once you start to really listen and connect with it. And it was fun. I mean, I didn't spend an hour trying to find this cap because they went out and bought a new one anyway, but it still was fun. In 5 minutes, I just let whatever came to me, and I just posted all that and described the room and didn't find it, but I still feel good about inspiring someone to maybe develop intuition in themselves. And well, the last thing I'd like to really talk about the tarot with is to think back about the movie Castaway, where the character had the box that he never opened, and then SNL did a skit where inside the box was a cell phone and a map and GPS. And imagine if you could go into the deck and bring all these things to a particular character, how that might change them. Like the Fool, he always seemed lost, for instance. Maybe if you brought all these things to him in a reading, that might change how you relate to the reading, and you might feel a little bit more empowered. And it's a way to have fun. So to look at it and say, well, wow, what if I brought this person a new suit? How would they feel then? Because in a lot of decks, the certain cards, the character his back is facing us, and it looks dark and gloomy. But what if we brought them a new suit, or brought them to a cup of coffee? What would happen then? So to have an open mind and to look at the tarot as a way to open to your intuition, but have fun with it. Don't feel like it has to be the way the books are mentioning. Just find a way to explore it and have fun with it. And again, I have my forum page here at awakenradio.net where you can come and connect with me, and I post info about previous shows, but also links to my Facebook page and my Twitter pages, Intuition by Rob on Twitter, which I post about this show, and Your Unfolding Senses on Facebook, where I talk about what I'm going to be talking about in the coming week on Facebook. So you can like that page. It's basically just links and topics that I'm interested in around the show, not selling anything there. And it's really fun topics like meditation and whatnot. All topics usually related to what I'm talking about that week. This week, there's a lot of tarot information in there. So feel free to come and visit me there and on Twitter. And I'm more than happy to answer a dream question or any other questions related to intuition. And if you like the show tonight or any of the previous shows, feel free to come and click on the donate button or be a sponsor for one of the shows, maybe mine, and know that we're doing this all from the kindness of our heart and for free. And we're all basically volunteers, so any way that you might be able to help us, we'd appreciate it. And we thank you for joining us tonight on these shows, but stay tuned for Christina, who's coming up next. And I think her topic will be on paganism and witchcraft tonight. So stay tuned. It should be a good discussion. And I look forward to speaking to you next week. And thanks for joining me.
Cause we're awakened. You won't catch us sleeping through the fight in life. We're all eyes open, showing our inside and light so bright. We are awakened. Come and join our love, it's so right. If you could feel what we feel now, you'd be a leader filled with might. Cause we're awakened. You won't catch us sleeping through the fight in life. We're all eyes open, showing our inside and light so bright. We are awakened.